That was SWV downtown. So Amari Stoudemire, an NBA legend, had a lot to say on Instagram. He went on about the atrocities that are being perpetrated in Israel, and a lot of what he said was absolutely right. He was right that people who are silent about this would make anybody mad. He was right that Hamas is a terrorist organization and is killing people. I would only add that there are people dying on both sides, and I feel equally as bad for them. I can hold in my head the idea that what Hamas has done is barbaric and inexcusable, and that there are Palestinians who are innocent, who have nothing to do with it, that are dying also. But he went on to talk about how, how barbaric it was and cowardly, and he's absolutely right, to slaughter the innocents, to slaughter the women and children and kids. I take exception with a couple of things that he said. One, he made the point that the only place that he could read the Torah or get kosher food was there. The only place in the world is what he said. If you heard the audio, the only place in the world I can read the Torah or get kosher food. I know for a fact that Amari Stoudemire played in New York. New York has the largest Jewish population in the country, almost 2.5 million people. So I'm pretty sure out of all the Jewish people that live in New York, there's a Talmud or two, or a kosher restaurant or two. You didn't have to go all the way. You could go to Philly or to New Jersey or Cherry Hill. I guarantee you didn't have to go all the way to Gaza to have kosher food and to read the Talmud. It is easier to find a Talmud and kosher food in New York than it is a black dude over the Kardashians' house. It's not that hard. So that was a weird thing for him to say. And the other thing he said, because I guess there was some local chapter of Black Lives Matter who made an incendiary statement that should be castigated. It is wrong. I would point out, it's interesting to me how when, say, for instance, a police officer does the thing, it's indicative of just that police officer, not the force and not police in general. But when a black man or a group says something, it's indicative of everybody. It is not. They seem to be able to get to be individuals, and these are bad apples. And this, on the other side, is indicative of the entire organization. One of the things he said, he called out Black Lives Matter. He talked about kidnapping and the slaughter of old people, and he called out Black Lives Matter. Now, for whatever you can say about Black Lives Matter, and there are many things to criticize them about. You can criticize their efficacy. You can criticize their motives. What you cannot do is mention them and Hamas in the same sentence. That is weird to me, because they have never perpetrated the things that Hamas has done, and it's weird to conflate them. It's insulting a little to conflate them. When you talked about the slaughter of old people, you're absolutely right, and you could have your problem. I would only say that if you had a problem with some local dude or local person at a Black Lives Matter association in Chicago said, you should have a problem with all of it. You said the slaughter of old people was cowardly, and you're absolutely right. Black Lives Matter has never done that unless it was on Fox News. The only place they've actually done any of the things that you're accusing or that you're associating with the Hamas is on Fox News. But you are absolutely right. It is cowardly to murder people, old people. It is cowardly to kill babies. It is cowardly to target women. And if you call out Black Lives Matter for what you think they have done or some insensitivity, it is wrong to not call out people who actually perpetrated the acts that drew your ire. It is wrong to not call them out too. You're talking about the slaughter of old people. There was someone here. It was called it was Squirrel Hill. It was in Pennsylvania. A white supremacist went there and murdered 11 elderly Jewish people, 12 elderly Jewish people. That just happened, right? The slaughter of the elderly people. Not one word about white supremacists perpetrating crimes that draw your ire. Also at Tops grocery store in Buffalo, a white supremacist went at 5 o'clock and murdered old people on purpose. Not a word about them. You castigated Black Lives Matter, which is fair. That's on target. Why not them? You talked about kidnapping, the kidnapping of women. There was a white supremacist group that contemplated and attempted to kidnap a woman, Gretchen Whitmer, who was a governor of Michigan. They attempted to kidnap her and assassinate her. Not one word of consternation to them, condemnation to them. Not one word. There are people here who actually put kids in cages. Not one word of condemnation for them. So if you're going to call out the things that you have a problem with, it is wrong to not call out the people who've actually perpetrated the things that drew your ire. It is wrong to not do it. You talked about politicians not saying something. There are politicians in America that are supporting people who are involved, that are supported by groups that have perpetrated some of these things. Try to tell Republicans to call out white supremacy or white nationalism. Try to tell them to do it. Try to tell them to say that that's wrong. You couldn't. So if you're going to call out Black Lives Matter for the things that you believe they're silent about, it is wrong to not call out people who perpetrated the crimes that drew your ire. You are a marvel as an athlete. I used to marvel at how fast you jumped. I like, man, this guy can leap. Now it's just sad to see how you leap to conclusions. That's a little note from the GED section. Got the Jazz Report come up in 15 minutes. It is the D.L. Hughley Show.